Welcome to your daily dose of theological German. This is installment number 5 on Adolf Schlatter's work, The Evangelist John, and these excerpts are taken from Ziefle's Graded Theological Reader. Today's sentence, like yesterday's, quite easy. We are at the beginning of Ziefle's Reader, so these aren't super complicated, but there'll be some interesting things here today. So let's just translate it real quick first. Upon or on the sacrifice follows. What follows? You see, so you started with a prepositional phrase, which I've noticed Schlatter likes to do. I've seen it a couple times now where he puts that up front. So then you got your verb there in second position, and now you have essentially a really long subject, which I think is why he ordered it the way that he did. So just for context, he's talking about how the sacrifice or the offering is a part of kind of the Jewish institutionalized religion that he's commenting on in John's Gospel that has to kind of become fulfilled and made new in some sense in Christ. And so then he's saying in the rest of John's Gospel, other institutions of the Jewish religion which have to undergo similar fulfillment and renewal are these other things. And so that's kind of the context of this. And so what follows on the offering is the temple in 2:19 and 4:21, the Sabbath in 5:17, the font, you might say, or the typeface in 5:39 and 47. Of course, you're probably going, wait, what? What are you talking about? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. That's obviously a mistranslation, but I'm trying to be funny. Let's see, the holy meal of the Passover in 6:4, the holy community in 10:1 or assembly, and the divine commandment in 13:34. So he's just kind of commenting on how all of these different institutional components of Judaism are being fulfilled and renewed in Christ in John's Gospel. And so that's what he's commenting about. And so he's just putting the sacrifice within the context of that. And that'll be important for tomorrow's episode as well. You'll see he's going to start commenting further on what it is that is said about the sacrifice sort of at the beginning of John's Gospel. And why he's putting it in this context. So I said the font. I mean, come on, people, as if. But you got to check this out because this is a classic case of you need to look up and get the correct translation. And this happens all the time in people's German exams when they're putting down words. They just grab something that the dictionary told them was a translation. And when you look up Schrift in the dictionary, here is what you find. Collins Dictionary Online says that this typeface or font are perfectly good translations of Schrift, and they are. But also look here, document, report. Ah, yes, the reports. One of the most important institutions of Judaism is the reports, or the petitions. Yeah, I'm sure there were petitions. Somebody's going around trying to get Pilate to change his attitude about some policy that he's doing, and so they've got this petition going around. And so after John talks about the sacrifice, he's going to talk about the Sabbath and the temple, and then he's going to talk about that petition that Judaism had going. Obviously, this is ridiculous. The problem is the sentence was just too straightforward, and I couldn't think of enough interesting things to say about it, so this is my lame attempt at being funny. But it's a good point, because while you would probably never make the mistake of translating Schrift in this context as anything other than the Holy Scriptures, and you can see here as well in Cassell's, right, the Holy Scriptures, if you were just going about this in a kind of systematic sort of way, working through a translation, you might get tripped up by a word that occurred similarly to this. And so, because here it says, in both of these cases, Heilige is the context that gives you the translation of scriptures. Well, you don't see Heilige here. It just says die Schrift. So you still have to know that that's what it is because you're talking about the institutions of Judaism. And so context is so important when you are looking up words in the dictionary to make sure that you know what the context is to pick the right translation. I mean, you certainly don't want to talk about a leaflet here or, maybe something like a publication, things like that. A pamphlet. Here you go, a pamphlet. Anyways, the point is, make sure you pay attention to context to get the right translation, because this seems like a dumb example, but people make mistakes like this on German exams all the time, and you want to make sure you're not doing that. So it's good to just have a laugh about it occasionally. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you found that at least amusing, if not just a pertinent reminder. I'm sure it was not helpful in the slightest, but thanks for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.